you win as a team and you lose as a team. It's
Yeah.
not it's not the franchisor versus the franchisee.
Welcome to Behind the Franchise, the podcast that brings you behind the scenes with the most successful franchise marketers. I'm your host, Paul Ellinger. On each episode, we'll be diving deep with the people who have cracked the code on franchise growth so you can learn their secrets to building a standout brand. In our episode this week, I sit down with Kyle Kosco, the VP of Marketing for Caring Transitions, a quiet giant in the senior services space that has over 325 locations and an equally impressive digital estate auction platform. Kyle will teach us the importance of maintaining your brand's core values through marketing. So, sit back, relax, and let's go behind the franchise. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Franchise, the podcast where we dive deep with the best minds in franchise marketing. As always, I'm Paul Ellinger, the host of the show. And today I'm super excited. We've got Kyle Kosco here, who's a fellow Cincinnatian with me. It's about 15 minutes up the road. Kyle's the VP of Marketing at Caring Transitions currently. Kyle, maybe if you want to, give a hello and kind of tell us about, the brand currently, Caring Transitions, and then your background a little bit.
Yeah. So I've been in the Cincinnati area for the last 10 years. And when I first moved into the area and graduated from the University of Cincinnati, I had my own marketing agency, worked with 10 to 20 service-based brands from law offices to insurance agencies to restaurants, and a few things in between there. And then I went to be the marketing manager and then later the director of marketing for a holdings company that had a staffing and advisory services agency, a construction association, an engineering management association firm that held events nationwide with thousands of people in attendance. And then I went over to a logistics company where I was their director of marketing. And then a year or two after that, I became their chief operating officer and took a bigger role in the business strategy and operations side of the company before I was recruited and came to Caring Transitions.
Very cool. And tell us about Caring Transitions. I know you guys have a few different kind of business lines, all in kind of the senior services industry.
Yeah, so Caring Transitions, we have 325 locations nationwide, and we specialize in senior relocation, downsizing, estate sales, and home cleanouts. And then we have a sub-brand called CT Bids, and that's an online estate sales auction platform where bidding starts at $1 and you can discover unique and everyday treasures from across the country on our platform.
What's the coolest thing you've seen come across the CT Bids platform? Because I check it out every so often, and it's always some interesting stuff up there.
Well, I am a Bengals fan, even though I'm not from Cincinnati. And the coolest thing was a life-size statue of an actual Bengal. So that would probably be the most unique and thing that piqued my interest.
Yeah.
But my wife wouldn't let me have
Wouldn't
it.
let you pull the trigger on it. It didn't belong with the home decor. That's awesome. Jumping more into your journey, I know you joined Caring Transitions kind of within the past year. Would love to know like how that transition went, getting into franchising and that business model for the first time. Maybe what did your first 90 days look like? How were you working with franchisees and the C-suite kind of taking over some of that, the marketing and brand responsibilities?
Yeah, the first 90 days was just so exciting and nonstop, and it was just a super fast pace, and it's something that really attracted me to the opportunity when I was thinking about joining Caring Transitions in the first place. Right, my first week on the job, I was able to jump into training with 10 new owners that were starting their franchise through Caring Transitions. So I was able to go through the operations, the financial, the marketing, all the training that a new owner would have to do in a week in Cincinnati. And I was able to be an attendee as if I was starting my own location. So that gave me a real invaluable insight right off the bat before I started looking at everything else, coming into a new brand and into the franchising space for the first time. So I was really excited to have that opportunity and build some relationships with our newest owners. And then once I got through that, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that's super interesting. Like just build like that class sense, so you at least have 5, 6, 10 people that you're like, hey, we went through this together. Like let's build this.
Yeah. Yeah, and they get to know the new vice president of marketing who they got to spend a whole week with and bounce ideas off of, and it was just very fun to get feedback from a new owner and kind of hear some of the thoughts that they have on things as I'm just starting to get my feet wet with the brand and in the department.
Yeah. What was the biggest challenge for you, like with just the franchise business model? Because it is such a unique one, right? Where it's like you guys definitely you put together this business in a package, kind of, but then you're dealing with they're all small business owners, right? And so everybody feels that sense
Yeah.
of ownership. Everybody's got opinions. So what was that like, kind of coming from a an enterprise where you can kind of be unilateral in your decision making a little more so maybe than kind of coming in here and having to really gain favor and have some consistent consensus as you're making decisions.
Yeah, I think even though franchising is definitely has its own space in the business world. I think there's a lot of similarities from when I was at the logistics company where no matter what industry you're in, relationships mean a ton.
Yeah.
You can gain a lot of trust or lose a lot of trust depending on how much you value relationships. So I knew, especially after my first week of training, just meeting 6 to 10 new owners, that
Hmm.
my one of my first priorities outside of just fully understanding the brand and everything else would be to meet virtually and in person with as many owners as I physically could in the first 90 days because they need to know um, who I am,
Hmm.
get buy into to what some of the things that I'm thinking about, but
Yeah.
also they need to be able to give feedback to me while I'm first starting out so that I can make sure that everything was thoroughly reviewed and thought about before we put together a national strategy and then help them with local strategies as well because
Yeah.
it's very easy that you can come into a leadership position and then just push an agenda that you have in your mind.
Yeah.
But if you can wrap your head around getting feedback from everybody and helping that put a framework together that can be successful because bits
Hmm.
and pieces of what everybody's feedback is can lead to success. Then you're going to have so much more buy-in because everybody in the network is going to say, well, I gave that feedback and I was
Yeah.
heard. And even if it's only one thing, if everybody sees one or two things that they played a part in, it becomes a much more collective, consistent effort that we're kind of rowing the boat in the same direction because like a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. And our last guest, Jessica Yarmy, talked a lot about balancing promoting and protecting a brand, right? Like kind of
Mhm.
acknowledging what you've built, working off of that corpus, but then thinking through, hey, what does this look like in the next 5 to 10 years? When you came in, what in your mind were the aspects of the marketing department or the brand of Caring Transitions that you were like, man, these are core. This is great stuff. We've got to protect this, versus maybe what you wanted to improve or you wanted to see kind of different.
Yeah, I came in a really unique and exciting time. We were reviewing a bit of a rebrand with
Hmm.
a fresh new look and new colors and really putting a document together of who we are because
Yeah.
we love who we are. That hasn't changed over the last 15 plus years. So we were really able to take owners' feedback and we put a brand steering panel together to make sure we captured everything that we do well and how we can educate new owners and make sure existing owners are all kind of on the same page based on owners' feedback so that we're hitting the mark. So reviewing the brand, we put a brand book together with
Nice.
core values, brand promise, who our target audience is and all those things, and we put it together in a living breathing document that every location has, and they use that to train their people on. They use that for different types of marketing content that they can do organically with videos and everything else. But it also is a guide on, we know if we're working on something that in our strategy and we're like, does this make sense long term? We know we can refer back to
Yeah.
something that we've spent 12 months on developing and that we've had in place for 15 years, just maybe not on paper
Yeah.
and not somewhere that we can consistently look back to. So that was really important. And then with me coming in September, right in the last quarter, all
Hmm.
this feedback really played a critical part in making sure we developed a strategy for 2024 that made sense right away. And we didn't really have to sit on the feedback for too long because we had 1 quarter to get the feedback, analyze it, meet with current partners, and flush out what we needed to flush out
That was a
to hit
busy Q4 for
January
you.
2024. Yeah, no, it was busy, but it was a lot of fun, and everybody just kind of dialed in, and owners were awesome and really receptive to just being able to play a part in it and give feedback on different things, and it led to a fast start, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I think building that just I always call it like the mission, vision, values, and being like super clear and transparent with that. It's fascinating how many decisions like throughout a week you could be like, okay, cool. It's like, does this fall in line with this or not? And it just makes
Yeah.
that every decision's easier to make when you're just everybody's in alignment on that.
Yeah, even from like a recruiting standpoint, you know the type of people that you want to represent a brand that is so caring and
Mm-hmm.
that treats seniors and their loved ones with compassion. And it goes as little as making sure your core values are in your job descriptions and stuff like that, and having a
Yeah.
book that you can refer to and pull things from and to put into that job description, so when people are applying, they kind of already know what the brand's about and what would be expected from them when they're providing a client a certain type of experience.
Yeah, no, and you touched on that a little bit. Like, just given the nature of your business, like, how much does like empathy play into your marketing, right? Like your voice and tone, because at the end of the day, you're working at like a pretty challenging part of people's lives, right? And there's a lot of moving pieces. I'm sure you're working with a lot of the children who are working with their parents to, figure out what their next steps are. What does that kind of come through in, and as you guys think about your voice out in the market?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think when you look at our core values, and we're caring, we're experts, and we're advocates, and those kind of all play the critical piece. And what separates us from we're not a moving company, so it's not just moving boxes from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So it for us to be able to support that, whoever the client is, whether it's a loved one or whether it's an older adult or a senior, we have to have those three core values in mind, and they have to see it in some way, shape, or form. They need to know that we care. They need to know that we're experts at what we do, and we'll make sure that we can reduce the stress as much as we possibly can so that they don't have to worry about it. And then they need to know that we'll advocate for them. If it's a senior moving from point A to point B, or they're
Hmm.
downsizing, and that's a situation that's very hard to deal with if you live in a 3,000 square foot home and
Yeah.
you're moving into a senior community that maybe is 1,000 square feet. You might need an advocate in your corner just to make sure you're being heard and you
Yeah.
get what you want overall.
I love that. I love businesses like yours because it's like who doesn't feel good at the end of the day when you're just like, man, we're really making a difference in people's lives as we continue to grow the business and do the thing. It's pretty cool to have like kind of that double triple bottom line action.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, Getting into it, I mean, 325 locations. It's not small, right? That's a meaningfully sized footprint. Like when you think of it, I'm sure you're thinking, cool. How do we get to 500? How do we get to 1,000? Like,
Mhm.
what does that plan look like? What do you think are going to be the big drivers for your brand to take it from that 325 to the 500 or that next level, like whatever you may find that as?
Yeah, that's the exciting part. We were at 300 at the end of last year, and we're up to 325, 330. And people just want to be a part of Caring Transitions
Yeah.
um, on a daily basis. So in terms of growth, the sky's the limit, and we're gonna get there sooner than later in terms of more and more locations um, nationwide. So, and that all falls into, that's not anything that we do at the national level
Mm-hmm.
special. That's the franchise owners that we already have that are doing amazing work and spreading the brand at a local grassroots level, to where when people want to learn more about Caring Transitions and they go on our website and they talk to location
Mm-hmm.
franchise owners that are already um, running a successful business, they know what it's all about and they want to be a part of it because the proof is there, the proof of concept is there,
Yep.
and people truly care about what they're doing. Yes, they became an independent business owner to run their own business and to make money, but all of our owners are the core value of caring is definitely a big piece of the type of people that are owning
Yeah.
franchise locations for caring transitions, and it just shows when they talk about the brand and they're involved in their local communities. So
That's
the
awesome.
brand kind of sells itself in that way, and a lot of it's because of the franchise locations and their team.
Yeah. How much of your business would you say is referral based? Both on the Fran Dev side, but then also just on the general to customer set look like.
Yeah, yeah, referral partners are huge for us.
Hmm.
Real estate agents, estate attorneys, doctors, senior communities. Those all play a huge role in our local at our franchise level, because those are people that are ingrained in the community just as much as our
Absolutely.
franchise owners. So those referral partners are um, very important to us and to the partners that we work with, because it truly is a partnership. It's not a one-way street. So that's super important for us at the national level, but also at the local level. So that's a huge driving force in the success of the brand.
I love that. And at the beginning, you kind of teased out CT bids a little bit. I think from your perspective, that's got to be so interesting. You've got one half of this, or I don't know the exact breakdowns. You got a portion of this business that are very much so services based, and then CT bids being this digital platform. Like, how does that play out for you when you think about strategy behind the two of them? How similar versus how divergent are those two strategies? And it's got to be a little fun for you being able to kind of bridge the gap between digital and in home type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's super exciting to have these two this one main brand and then a sub brand that's so strong. Um, our social media strategy is intertwined, but then there's separate pieces to it because CT Bids has its separate social media and digital presence from Caring Transitions, and it
Hmm.
kind of ties into how do we get to a younger audience for Caring Transitions, um, without just saying, hey, you're going to need caring
Yeah.
transitions at some point in the
Yeah.
future. Because that's not really something that um, millennials and other generations are necessarily thinking about at this moment in time. But that's where CT Bids kind of comes in. Even though it's an online auction platform and it has all these unique items, it also has a very unique or a wide range of a target audience. It's pretty much 18 years old and up,
Yeah.
can be interested in all these items that we sell on a daily basis on CT Bids. So we always like to think of it as CT Bids customers are future Caring Transitions clients, because most of the people on CT Bids, they like the idea of buying items that already have memories attached
Mm.
to them, and they're able to reuse them, they're able to upcycle them, and all of these items have a bunch of different purposes and meanings to each new owner that comes in contact with it. So we
Yeah.
think that that is a great bridge into the caring transition services, whether they find out that this might be something they need for their grandma or for their parents or for themselves
Mm.
down the road. It kind of keeps them within our brands long term.
No, I love that. And kind of on that, right? Like, what does that look like? If you're saying, hey, we spend 30% of our time on this generation versus this generation, how much of your marketing efforts are directly on seniors versus the children of seniors who may have to be enabling their parents to go through these processes as they age?
Yeah, I think it's a balance on the caring transition side of our marketing strategy. For
Hmm.
CT Bids, it's 18 and up, and it's based on people's interests in terms of household goods,
Hmm.
automobiles, collectibles, art, jewelry. So that is where age isn't necessarily a factor, and we're able to go after a much larger audience and just get them interested in the whole online estate sale process.
Yeah.
But then for caring transitions, a lot of our marketing is geared towards seniors and their loved ones. So we're able to make sure that that target audience of 45 to 65, and obviously it swings a little bit younger
Hmm.
and a bit older, but in that in that audience you get a lot of active seniors who are starting to think about um, transitioning in various life stages, and same with the adult children. They
Yeah.
might they might start to downsize earlier just to make the process even easier, or they might be thinking about it for their loved ones just to get ahead of it. Or if the circumstance happens and a loved one passes away,
Hmm.
the adult children might live in New York and the parent that passes away is in California,
Yeah.
and they can't be there to handle that every day because they have life that happens and everything else. So they can rely on us to kind of be that communication piece and making sure things get done and that they can stress a little bit less,
Yeah.
and move on to embracing that new beginning with confidence, which is a part of our day one living experience. Because whether it's a loved one um, wanting to make this process not take 1 year to sort through
Hmm.
and have us handle it so that when it's done, day one starts for them to being able to grieve the loss of a loved one, to remember mom or dad or whoever it is, and all the things and all the memories that they have, and they don't have to worry about all the stress and
Yeah.
think about all of that side of it. And then for the senior, if they're moving from the home that they raised all their children in into a fun new senior community, that's a new experience, and
Yeah.
embracing that new experience with confidence is something that we want them to feel excited about, or at least comfortable with,
Hmm.
so it doesn't take them forever to get used to this new stage of their life, and it could be more of a positive than, oh, it's just something that you have to do.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. One thing we always, whenever we work with clients on the Flamel side, one of the big emphases are always just how can we induce local franchisees to build more content, right? And that's something, I think we've seen data where it's just so much more performative than national content. Curious how Caring Transitions handles that. Like, I'm sure you guys have a whole set of resources that you guys provide down. What does that look like? What are you maybe most proud of that you've seen on the local side of things for some marketing efforts that have been done?
Yeah, I mean, every brand can always do more from an organic content standpoint.
Yeah.
We have some unique things that we've kind of done. We communicate from a marketing standpoint on a weekly basis
Hmm.
in an email, and that kind of shows success stories of people that are doing really cool local marketing things in their community, and
Yeah.
kind of gives people ideas across the network on things that they can incorporate as well. And if they are doing it already, then they can share that with us too. But then we've partnered with one of our partners. It's called Snapper, and
Hmm.
they're like the Uber for photography and video.
Yeah.
So we use them nationwide. So say one of our locations is doing a relocation or a downsizing in a huge historic home, and with a client that is just awesome to work with, and they want to be
Yeah.
part of it. We schedule a photographer and a videographer to go to the home, take some pictures of the team in action, take some pictures of the client in their home that they just for them to take with them so that they can remember it, and then also take some pictures of the team interacting
Yeah.
with our clients and showing um, how important and valued they are throughout the process.
Yeah. No, I
So
mean,
Snap, so no,
go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
but Snapper's been great. It's one of those things where we use stock imagery because you have to some extent.
Yeah.
But now that we're at the size that we're at, we're able to figure out ways to kind of produce our own content, whether it's video or photography, and using that into our marketing assets to make it a little bit more um, aligned with our brand book and really show who we are, and how we do it versus just picking a random stock photo from
Yeah.
from Canva or Adobe.
It feels like a necessity, right? Like, just your business is so empathetic, so human based that it's like you've got to show the people. You've got to show your people on the ground helping these people. Makes a ton of sense. And love hearing that. Maybe what's the thing, the an initiative by a local franchisee that you were surprised by, or that like really took off, that you're like, wow, we didn't have that idea. Love seeing that. Like, I always love knowing like what finds its way up through the organization that you maybe didn't plan for.
Yeah, I think um, we have. it's not a brand, but it's more of um, it ties into our core value of caring, and it's called
Hmm.
Caring for a Cause. So
I love that.
that's our branded tagline for the side of where our owners do all of their community outreach, whether it's charity auctions, whether it's volunteering at a food kitchen, whether it's volunteering time in a local community organization. For instance, one of our locations in West Virginia does a lot with a Charleston organization that's called It Takes a Village,
Hmm.
with the concept of it takes a village to raise children. But this has a spin on it. It takes a village to make sure that seniors are supported. And they offer a bunch of different workshops on how to handle various life stages and just making sure that seniors and their loved ones have all the resources they need to where these life stages don't have to seem so difficult, and they can be more of a positive have a more of a positive spin to it than just something you have to do.
Yeah.
So there's a
No.
bunch of different stories like that. All of our owners are just so caring and have different caring for a cause initiatives. So I think that's what always is surprising is every time I jump on the phone or meet with an owner in person, there's always something unique in that
Yeah.
at that location that they're doing to help impact the community that they're serving.
That's freaking awesome. No, I love that. That makes a ton of sense. I think when we look at content today, obviously the world's going through like a big short form video craze. Like, do you guys play into that at all? And then maybe slash, where do you think you see content marketing going in the future, right? Like, as you guys plan for 2025 and beyond, what does that look like for you guys from a strategy perspective?
Yeah, I think that trend is at top of the is at the top of mind for us as a marketing department, and I think for many others. Um, Historically, we haven't done a ton of videos just because with locations all across the country and
Hmm.
getting video support to owners, it hasn't always been the easiest to do just because it's tough with the
Yeah.
partnership with Snapper. It's become easy to do. So
Hmm.
that's something that we will be producing on a regular basis here in the second half of the year with 30, 60-second educational clips, before and afters of projects, and different historical, like ask an
Hmm.
expert um, clips with either bidders who are picking up items that they collect all different types of them and they have a lot of
Okay.
insights on them, or whether it's team members who have a lot of experience with unique items or unique services that they can have a little 30, 60, 90-second video that provides value to our consumers.
Yeah, and obviously, your target audience, very, very active on Facebook, right? The 45 to 65 year
Mhm.
olds. With that video creation, plans to push onto YouTube at all, or kind of maintain it on the Meta platform?
Yeah, I think YouTube's definitely something that we're considering. TikTok is something we are starting to get on
Interesting.
quite a bit because when you think of TikTok, you think of the younger generations, but
Yeah,
believe it or not, 45 to 65 has actually increased their use of TikTok over the last 12 to 24 months significantly. And
yeah.
it's actually like the main market that's under advertised on TikTok. So that's something that we've definitely explored and started to prepare for.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was looking just like at the usage on platforms by day stat, like from Pew Research the other day. It's fascinating. Like apparently, the older you get, you're just on almost everything. Like they're
Yep.
like the power users of every platform is what it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's awesome, and I mean they've made it easy to access, and people are producing fun and unique things all the time for a wide variety of interests, and that's
yeah,
kind of why I think everybody's drawn to it. No matter what the age is, everybody's comfortable with a smartphone and a tablet at this
yeah.
point. So I think that all social media platforms are valuable for all audiences to some extent.
Yeah, no, I love that. And kind of bridging into talking about AI a little bit. Obviously, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's in the big hype phase right now. Everybody's talking about it. How do you think AI is going to change your day to day specifically, just in terms of leading marketing for a brand like Carrying Transitions?
Yeah, I think AI is going to be a factor in everybody's day to day, or at least week to week, in all departments, even outside of marketing. I think there's a lot of different ways you can use it. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think from a marketing standpoint, I think when at a higher level, I think it helps provide ideas and trends when you're building content strategies, and you're looking for just starting points to start brainstorming. And then once you work with your team, you get feedback from owners. If it's in franchising, you're able to really start to narrow in on pieces of those strategy recommendations and start building it out further into content pieces. And I think whether it gets you to a starting point with content, or you use it all the way through, there's different ways that you can um, make it more efficient for your
Mm-hmm.
department, and make sure that you use your time in the best ways that you can to help drive whatever brand you're working with or whatever department you're in an organization.
Yeah, no, I love that. Does Carrying Transitions use it anywhere across the organization currently? Do you know?
Yeah, our operations team uses it a little bit in different ways, just to um, help with some content, and then same with marketing. We use it for topic starters, just to see what topics are out there, and what are trending. Some
Yeah,
of it we use, and some of it we don't. Just like if somebody from our team brought a bunch of topic ideas that were trending, it helps you get something
yeah.
going to guide some conversations, and then it takes the creative people to kind of make it
Take
happen
it to the
and
next level.
and push forward with those ideas.
Yeah, no, for sure. My big enamoration with it is like when it can start replacing workflows and processes, right? Like I think once
Mhm.
we get to that point in kind of this stage of development, that's when it gets super interesting. And I always love to ask
Yeah.
everybody from that perspective, what's one process you do in your day to day or week to week that you're like, man, I wish I didn't have to do this and AI could just do it for me?
That is a good
Or are you just
question.
loving 8 to 6 every day of the week?
I mean, one thing that I don't know, AI can't do for me, but I wish I had more time in the day, just in general, because I like
Yeah.
because I love what I do. But I think what AI could do for me is, I think I would love to make more use out of when I'm in a meeting on Zoom,
Hmm.
um, that it summarizes things and puts it into actionable items for us to send out and just
Yeah.
keep record of. Because I think having to do that all from scratch after a meeting, when you're going from meeting to meeting and stuff like
Yeah.
that, I think that piece is really cool, how far it's come, on
Yeah.
the different platforms, and understanding tone, and um, getting all the types of the conversation together into a very accurate summary. I think
Yeah.
using more of that will really help make sure you keep things organized, and make sure nothing gets lost, when you're taking notes and then you're jumping to another meeting.
Yeah. Have you used Otter AI at all, or any of those?
No, right now I've only used Chat GPT, but I know my teams that is messing with a bunch of different ones, because
Nice.
we're always exploring all the versions of AI, because owners
I bet
are
you're getting asked
starting
about it a lot. Yeah.
to dip into AI as well. And we had an AI speaker at our national conference in New Orleans a couple months ago.
Nice.
So with franchise owners, a lot of them are looking for any way possible to drive efficiency, so they can have a little bit more time to do other things. So they've used it quite a bit to generate content, and to
Hmm.
to keep track of notes and everything else. And I think that's only gonna increase over time.
How do you guys think about data security on that front? So I know we've talked to a few, Fortune 500s, and they've like distinctly prohibited their employees from using ChatGPT, with their work
Hmm.
accounts and things like that because they're worried about the data
Yeah.
getting trained off of it. Have you guys thought about that? Do you guys, give any guidance down to franchisees when it comes to using new AI
Yeah.
tools?
Yeah. I think right now, I think we always communicate, keep just know what you're putting into AI and making sure that it's for like general strategy or um, other topics that aren't necessarily um, stuff that you wouldn't want a competitor
Yeah.
to look at and stuff like that. Like there's some things that you would want to keep out of AI, but at the same time, everything that we do, we're pretty transparent on who Caring Transitions is, and the
Yeah.
services that we offer um, are pretty straightforward and unique, and we feel confident in that. So, um, in terms of like social security numbers and stuff
Yeah.
like all the like
Yeah.
any type of things that you would be incorporating into that you wouldn't want to incorporate in emails and other things.
Yeah,
I
just
think
standard
that
practice.
always is something that, even though you think it goes without saying, that's something you always want to make sure
You
you
gotta say
communicate.
it. Yeah, you gotta say
Yeah, yeah.
it.
So I mean, other than that, I think it's fairly low risk from things that we've seen
Yeah.
so far. But you always want to be cautious and make sure that it's something that you're comfortable with, people potentially seeing when you put something
Yeah.
in for AI's support on.
Yeah, I love that perspective of just like treat it like an email, and know that
Yeah.
that email could get picked up somewhere and kind of be seen. So just know that is a way. Um, Kind of reaching the end here. Last section, I always like to do just some rapid fire questions. Get your 10 to 15 second take on it. If that sounds good to you.
Yeah.
First question: You're a big soccer coach. We talked about that right beforehand. Give me like a Ted Lasso analogy that you've applied to your business life.
My favorite quote is probably, taking a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. If you're comfortable while doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. So I think that's something that has always stuck with me, and makes me laugh, but it's also super serious. It's something that's super serious because you always need to push yourself to get into a little bit of uncomfortable situations, because it's how you grow. If you're always comfortable, you're not really always thinking about what's next, or how to get to that next level of success, personally or collectively as a brand or an organization.
No, I love that. What brands do you look at right now that you look up to? You think, damn, they're doing an awesome job. Wish we could do some of these elements. What kind of brands are you looking at from that perspective?
Yeah, my favorite brand has always been Nike,
Yeah.
and the the movie that came out about Jordan and his shoe was something that was just super fun to watch, and all the branding and marketing and sales that went into it. And the president of our company is a big fan, and he pulled out a quote that was about a shoe's just a shoe until someone steps in it. And I think that's just so true for everything in franchising. You can be as successful as you want to be, and you could put your stamp on something, and it's all dependent on how you want to go tackle that um, that topic, and grow from there. So Nike's definitely a big one for me. Dunkin' Donuts, I think, always does a
Okay.
great job with their branding.
They've been doing some
I know
really
I go
great
there.
stuff recently. They're hilarious now.
Yeah, so I think that brand's done a really good job of evolving over time. Because I feel like coffee and donuts is something that you could get into a habit of just doing the same thing forever. And I feel like they've evolved and have been able to keep capturing a younger audience, and attract the older audience as well. So I think that they've done an excellent job from a branding standpoint. And then the fun one, the edgy one, is probably Wendy's and their
Yeah.
social media
Yeah.
manager, and always keeps things interesting and gets people engaged. So I think that's always like a fun one to keep an eye on, because it's authentic, it's
Yeah.
transparent, and it's just uh, it's just not your typical spin on social media marketing when everyone's trying to be cautious and
Yeah. To the brand.
just particular. Yeah.
Yeah, but quick interlude. I was talking to the one of the social media managers from Wendy's when they like first started doing all of that, and
Uh
it was
huh.
crazy just hearing the performance results. Like at one point, he was like, they jumped onto a hashtag nuggets for something. It was like someone random person was like wanted to get nuggets, like chicken nuggets, and
Uh
they
huh.
jump on it, and it got like 4.5 million likes. just from them getting on like a hashtag Nuggets for John something or another.
Wow.
Just crazy stuff, and I'm like, wow, a lot of brands would love that activity. Always like to ask, what should franchise marketers stop doing as soon as possible? What do you think the industry's doing wrong?
Yeah, I think for me, one thing that I've always worked at doing is being positive and focusing on what we need to do more of, and
Mm-hmm.
even because we're not always doing things enough, and I think that's being authentic and who you are based on whatever your brand stands for. And I think you always want to let data drive decisions in a lot of cases while still being true to your brand and everything else. But
Mm-hmm.
you can take some emotion out of decisions that need to be made by just following the data, and using that to not only um, hold yourself accountable, but also to motivate you and to be competitive to do better the next month or the same month of the previous year. And you're just
Yeah.
always trying to make that number improve, because that's going to make business improve, and that's going to provide more opportunities for your staff or your organization as a whole. And then just be always open to feedback and willing to try things a different way, especially in the marketing space. Things change on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis
Yeah.
a ton. The strategy that you put in place 3 years ago is likely 50% of it's outdated at a minimum. So you just always have to be ready to be flexible and adapt, and not just do it the same way you've done it for the last 10 years. So I think that's something that is something that everybody can always make sure that they keep top of mind to actually follow through with.
Absolutely. You brought up competition. How many of your coaching philosophies from soccer do you bring into your marketing philosophies and managing a team of franchisees?
Yeah, I, I bring some. I'd say the big thing is that you win as a team and you lose as a team. It's
Yeah.
not it's not the franchisor versus the franchisee. Part of getting all this feedback and actually using owner feedback is around that we're in this together. We're not going to put something out there that we don't think is going to benefit the whole brand. And with their feedback, that kind of helps ensure that we're moving in the same direction, and we can make sure that we get consistent results, which is the same as wanting to make sure that your team can consistently win and exceed expectations and just have
Yeah.
a high standard all around. So I think that's the piece um, that makes that resonates with me, that I always bring in, is everything's relationship driven, whether it's coaching or whether it's leading an organization or leading a department or owning your own business. If you don't have um, that mentality to accept feedback and try things in different ways to produce the best results, um, then you're not able to be as successful as you could be, and you have a lower ceiling.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the win as a team, lose as a team. I think that is just that permeates everything you do in life. Like everything's not a zero sum game. You just everybody can win if everybody goes right after it. That's huge. And then final one, what marketing or social media trend everybody should be jumping onto it right now?
Yeah, it's the short videos for us. I think everybody talks about it, but it's really difficult to pull off for most brands. So I think
Yeah.
um, as as you start to look towards 2025, everybody should just be trying to figure out with their team, how can you make it happen, even if you're doing none of it now, even if you could start doing once a month or once a week and just
Mm-hmm.
start phasing it in. You don't have to go 100% into it if the resources aren't there. But if you don't start, you're never going to get to that point. It's always going to just be something that you want to do at some point. So I think you just have to make it happen, even if it's at a really small scale.
It's fascinating. I always push people, especially on the local level, literally just pull your iPhone out and shoot 30
Yeah.
seconds of video of anything. Of like somebody making a sandwich, somebody mowing a lawn, like your employee
Yep.
walking in for the day. And that will perform better than any random
Yep.
graphic you spend 30 minutes on in Canva. Like every single time. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, phone cameras and videos have just come such a long way that people really don't know the difference in a lot of
Yep.
cases when it's quick organic social media content.
Yep.
So I think that's something that some people get a little bit stressed out saying like, oh, I don't have a camera. That's fine. Just
Yeah.
use your phone, and it'll still do much better than some graphic that you put together
Oh yeah.
to post on.
Your iPhone in cinematic mode is like the unlock.
Yeah.
It takes beautiful video. I'm using it right now. My iPhone's just on top of my desktop monitor right now, using it
Yeah.
as the webcam screen. So it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
for sure.
well, that's all I've got for you. Always like to end with a 30 seconds. Pitch what you want to pitch. Tell people any listeners what you want them to know, either about carrying transitions yourself or honestly whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, no, I think carrying transitions is the best kept secret in some of the markets. And if you haven't heard about us, or you have a loved one that is going through a transition in life, and you need some help and you can't do it all yourself, um, go visit us at caringtransitions.com and learn more about how we can provide that day one living experience to you or a loved one.
No, I love that. I echo everything. And if you're interested in random things, or you go onto auction sites, check out CT Bids. I definitely pull it up at least once a week just to see what's out there locally. So I will add that
Yeah,
one there for you. But thanks so much
yeah,
for your
you
time.
you took it right out. Yeah,
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. Great to have you on. I appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for listening to Behind the Franchise. We look forward to having you on to the next episode.